Well, he's not here just yet. I don't want to run out of power. Oh, the sounds, I don't like them. Ah, fuck! No! Oh, yeah! Ah! Fucking fuck!
So yeah, this is Five Nights at Freddy's. It was an indie horror game created by game developer, animator, and writer Scott Cawthon, who I'm sure you've all heard about at this point. It was a game that completely broke the internet when it came out, with countless Let's Plays, animations, and parodies, and even songs based on it. It was quite a surprise, really. The game seemed to come out of nowhere before being just everywhere a few days later. It was quite different from what everyone else was playing at the time, and I gotta say, I was pretty hooked. Recently, FNaF has been getting memed on quite a bit with the man behind the slaughter thing, and it got me thinking about the franchise again. I wanted to revisit this franchise that I was so obsessed with years ago, and see if the games still hold up even though they aren't that old. So without further ado, let's talk about where it all started. Upon starting a new game, you are shown a newspaper article. Family Pizzeria looking for security guard to work the night shift, 12 AM to 6 AM. Monitor cameras, ensure safety of equipment and animatronic characters. You are the security guard, and you have to survive from 12 AM to 6 AM for 5 nights. The game throws you right into the office. You have 2 doors and a monitor. All seems to be going well until you hear that unsettling and iconic phrase.
The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit.
Doesn't feel as safe anymore, huh? As if it did to begin with. These animatronics are out for blood, and they can be pretty relentless. Not even the 2 doors you're provided with make you feel any more safe. And this is when the true fear of this game kicks in. Now that you know he's after you, you have to do whatever you can to avoid getting killed and stuffed inside of an animatronic suit. Now, how exactly are you supposed to survive your nights? Well, we can talk about gameplay mechanics. Well, as far as gameplay goes, it sounds pretty simple. Check the cameras and close the doors when you see an animatronic outside them, but believe me, this game is not easy, especially on the later nights when Freddy becomes active, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let me introduce the game. Bonnie. Typically the first to activate, he comes from the left. He's pretty easy to keep track of. Next is Chica. She comes from the right. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to keep track of her, considering when she makes noise in the kitchen, that's how you know that she's in the kitchen. Freddy is an absolute nightmare to deal with. He comes from the right as well, but if he makes it next to your door, he will never leave, forcing you to keep your door shut and waste tons of power. To prevent this, I try to keep my cameras on him to prevent him from moving too much. He doesn't really get active until night 4, so he shouldn't hurt too much until then. Finally is Foxy. Foxy will move as long as you aren't watching him, so watch Pirate Cove closely to prevent him from coming to your office. You can shut the door on him, but he will take some of your power when he hits the door, so try to prevent this from happening any more than once during a night. I mean, even if he does it once, it can kill an entire attempt. I would recommend flipping back and forth between whatever camera Freddy is on and Pirate Cove to prevent them both from moving. And if you run out of power, Freddy will play his song for a bit before killing you. It is actually possible to win in this state. I don't know if it helps or not, but don't look at Freddy or move around, just stay still. In one of the phone calls, the phone guy mentioned something about playing dead.
If you happen to get caught and want to avoid getting stuffed into a Freddy suit, try playing dead. You know, go limp. Then there's a chance that maybe they'll think that you're an empty costume instead.
I can assume that's supposed to tie into this, but I'm not entirely sure. I never really looked into it. As far as gameplay, that's pretty much it. Just watch Foxy and Freddy and check the door lights after putting the camera down. It's kind of a shame that most cameras don't really serve much of a purpose in the strategy, but they're more useful than they are in FNaF 2, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Many of the secrets in this game are in the form of rare screens that you can luckily come across on the cameras. Things like the crying child posters, broken Freddy poster, endoskeleton looking at the camera, and you can even find some newspaper articles about the 5 missing kids and the closing of the pizzeria. This was kind of the beginning of the story. Essentially, a man dressed as a Freddy's character lured 5 children into a back room, killed them, and then stuffed them into the animatronic suits. I still remember all the debate that would go on about the phone guy being the killer and like people trying to figure out who did the Bite of 87 back when this was the only game that we had. It does bring back good memories. Anyway, this story would not be elaborated on until later games, so we'll just leave it there for now and we'll come back to it. Another secret I'd like to mention is the Golden Freddy poster. There's actually a 5th animatronic, even though he's only a suit. Golden Freddy will appear in your office after you see his poster on camera 2B. He will be sitting in front of you before you either pull up the camera or get killed by him, which crashes the game, by the way. I didn't bother trying to get Golden Freddy when I was playing. Supposedly he's supposed to show up on night 3, but that didn't happen for me. I don't know why, but it just didn't. I kind of want to talk a little more about this game's impact on me. Here's a Steam review I wrote for FNaF 1 when I was in middle school. I have nothing left to lose. I was in love with this game when it came out. It truly was different from everything else I was seeing back then, and apparently others thought so too. I made many friends in middle school because of this game. I remember we'd all gather up and talk about the newest teasers, like, bro, did you see The Office? Like, there's no doors, dude, like, dude, are we gonna have to, like, hide under the desk or something? It brings back good memories. I mean, this was all I cared about back then. I even found my favorite YouTuber, DA Games, through his FNaF animations. Go check him out if you haven't, and please watch more than his songs. Speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's songs, the Living Tombstones FNaF song, the first one, actually got me into music. I actually hated music before that, and my tiny brain liked it only because it was FNaF related. Still a good song though. But me hating music back then is so weird to me because I actually make music now, and I have been for a few years. Back to DA Games, he's my biggest inspiration. He's the reason why I decided to start making music and playing guitar. I really don't know what I'd be doing right now if I never saw his work. Final thoughts? This game is great and scary. Still, my hand was trembling and my heart was beating really fast every night, and that felt so weird to me that even after, what has it been, 6 years now? You know, I'm still terrified of this game. I know how the animatronics act, and I still found myself closing doors way earlier than I needed to, and as embarrassed as I am to admit it, I did take my headphones off every time the power went out. Yeah, I know. This game is definitely still worth experiencing though, and if you were around the FNaF fandom during this time, I'm sure it'll bring back some really fun memories. Thank you for watching though. This is a video I've wanted to make for about 1 or 2 years now. I know ever since Ultimate Custom Night I've had the idea of doing a sort of retrospective series on Five Nights at Freddy's. It's been a long time coming, but I finally gotten around to making it. So next is gonna be FNaF 2, which is my personal favorite, and we'll continue from there. So stay tuned and I will see you then.